大盆。古代の狂った王が道理で水霊が蛇を怖がるわけだ。なんて愛らしい。塩持ってません。
Hi there, everyone. Scott and Lars back with another review and analysis for the Apothecary Diaries, brought to you by Camille's Harem. Not just a podcast for novice writers by novice writers, but also a YouTube channel by novice writers for novice writers. Because writing is an adventure, it's more fun with friends, and the war is at the gates. But what is even worse are the things happening inside the castle.
Oh man, there's some serious stuff coming down the way. We see some very surprising things happening, and we can definitely tell the impetus, the character that's moving everything at this moment. It's not Maomao at the moment.
Mm-hmm. This episode is an interesting one because tonally there's a subtle shift. Like we've been in this moment before of grand plans culminating, of danger, of Maomao being in a place where she's vulnerable. We've been here before, but if you pay close attention, you realize that in this case, Maomao really has no influence or power. She's very much stuck and caught. And that carries through from the beginning of this episode to the very end. And it makes this really stick out amongst the many episodes of the Apothecary Diaries thus far.
Very, very much so. Very much so. Oh man, but I'm so glad we're getting some real movement by some of these characters going on. And instead of going right into talking about that, let's kind of talk about what happens in the episode, because there's some seriously interesting stuff that happens here.
Yeah.
We start out, unless do we have any announcements though?
Now let's just dive into this.
Okay. We start out as from the previous episode. Maomao's stuck at the stronghold, playing the apothecary role just to create basically an immortality medicine for Lady Shinmei. And she keeps getting summoned into Lady Shinmei's quarters to talk about it. And she's very much stuck. It's turning to winter. She can't really do anything, kind of powerless in this sense. Kio and his cadre of friends are running around being rambunctious, and Kio slips a note with a wire in the door telling Maomao that he's gonna cause a disturbance so she can run away, and they immediately get caught. And Suide and the guard, they're getting after Maomao when Lady Shinmei walks by and takes control of the situation, is threatening to punish everybody involved, just because she's cruel like that. And something about the way Lady Shinmei is so cruel, especially to Kyo, to a little kid, she just can't stand it. It pisses her off. And she full on calls this Lady Shinmei a crazy old hag, which to Lady Shinmei, that is quite the insult. Somebody that self-involved, that obsessed with finding immortality and her youth again. That's a low blow. She can't take that. So she ends up ready to punish Maomao when Loulan steps in and offers a piece of advice that, maybe we should have Maomao thrown into the Taibone, into the pit, basically. And Suide's freaking out, and Lady Shinmei's yeah, why don't we? This'll teach you a lesson, kind of idea. And Maomao gets thrown into this chamber and left in there with a box, and the guard opens the lid and runs out and shuts the door, and you find all sorts of snakes and insects and like creepy crawlies in there. And Mao's like, okay, I could deal with this. Pulls out the hairpins. It's dinner time. And proceeds to kill all the snakes and bugs, and basically has what would be the Japanese term? Hebiyaki, like fried snake. Um it's so good. The guard shows up and he's like, "What's that smell? It smells pretty good." Walks in, Mama's like, "Do you have any salt?" It was it's such a funny scene. I love how they're throwing humor into this. Like even in such a serious situation, they're throwing humor into this. Um, but Maomao like gets out after that and is kind of wandering around until she sees Shisui or Loulan, same character, walking into this storeroom with all this gunpowder, throwing a bag of silver and telling the men inside to grab as much as they can and run because stuff's about to go down. And then Loulan throws the torch onto the gunpowder and um, watches it blow up. And Maomao and her survive, and afterwards they have this interesting heart to heart where like Maomao's not at first sure it's like who she's talking to of the two personas until she asks a question and Shisui's the one who answers. Um, and then we get like some confirmation of some information that Maomao had questions on. And Shisui basically is like, yeah, you should probably run. Like, if Lady Shenmei finds you, she's really gonna kill you. But it's probably already too late. But we could walk together, and they walk up to this room and find all of the Kyo and the rest of the children had drunk the Kool-Aid and are now dead on in this one room. And they have this conversation about the inevitability of it all. And that's pretty much where the episode ends.
This is a heavy episode, and
Very heavy.
because this is the focus of the episode by and large, I feel like we should tackle the elephant in the room first, and that is Shisui and Lulan, the one and the same person. How are we supposed to regard this gal?
You can definitely tell because like we've gotten flashbacks of like Lolan trying to pretend to be the perfect daughter for Lady Shenmei. But like even that was not enough. Like she wanted actual love and kindness in her life, and Lady Shenmei, she's just way too cruel. She's not gonna provide that kind of relationship. So she goes to her sister Suide and tries to pretend to be a servant to do so. And Lady Shenmei punish her just because she believed she was a servant at the time. Doesn't even recognize her own daughter.
Mm-hmm.
So we can tell like very complicated, very abused of childhood. Even if it wasn't necessarily all physical, I think there was a lot of like emotional abuse involved. And like Shisui came out of that as a way to be able to process all of this negative stuff that's happening around her. And from what I understand, a lot of cases when it comes to multiple personalities, and I'm not saying this is exactly that, I think this is just two different personas. It's the same person, but it's like I'm gonna put on the mask to be Lolan, and when I take off the mask, I'm Shisui. I feel like it's more along those lines than an actual like multiple personality disorder. But a lot of the time when it is an actual multiple personality disorder, it's caused by childhood trauma and locking like that part of their life away, and a new identity takes the place instead of so they can like process that information. But like Shisui, she's doing what she can to survive. And I feel like a lot of the cases in like back in the Rear Palace, like as she's running around pretending to not be Loulan and hanging out with Maomao and Xiaolan, it, it's all there so she'd have a getaway. She's got some place to escape, to not have to worry about all of the insane pressure she's getting from not just her parents, but like the emperor himself and like all of her ladies in waiting kind of idea. So it very much a product of an abusive background.
Yeah, I precisely. And you can kind of going along the lines of what you were saying, you can kind of think of this in a way like Batman and Bruce Wayne, how
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day it's all just Batman. Batman's not another persona or another personality per se.
Mm-hmm.
But rather the identity that Bruce Wayne has completely identified with in order to help him through everything that he's experienced in his
Mm-hmm.
trauma. And we can see in this episode when Shisui is born, as you said, like when she realizes just how cruel her mom is to everyone, and that this alter ego can is a way for her to escape. And by the end of this episode, in many ways she continues to be Shisui to the point where to the point where it's like Lady Loulan, for whoever whatever she was, has probably ceased to exist long ago, and it's
Mm-hmm.
been Shisui this whole time. Shisui wearing the mask of Loulan when
Yeah.
she needs to, and now this same Shisui who is daring, intelligent, uh, and caring in her own way, takes control, and we see that in how she uses Silver to get all these men on out. She realizes that maybe just simply ordering them out is going to backfire in some kind of way. Maybe someone will tell her mother. Maybe they, out of fear or loyalty to her mom, won't leave, which could lead to them dying. So she taps into greed. It's not necessarily the best way of going about things, but it gets these people out before she blows up the place. And
Well,
then what she does, as far as the poison goes, it's as cruel as it is. It's a form of mercy killing, but at the same time, it's absolutely awful. And this goes to show just the extent to which her family, Shenmei and Shiso, have just screwed things up so
mm-hmm.
bad that this girl, who maybe if she took a step back, maybe there would be a better way to figure things out and to get out of the situation. But she plows forward ahead, thinking this is the best way, and oh wow, there's collateral damage, horrible collateral damage.
Well, and I think a lot of this is because Shisui knows more about what's going on in this situation than even Lady Shenmei does. And like Lady Shenmei, she seems like she runs with an very cruel iron fist, but like multiple times in this episode, as Shisui's starting to take action, because Shisui can see what's coming. Like, there's no denying that. She can see what's going to happen and that her clan, her family doesn't stand a chance. And so she's got to make the most of the situation. And so she full on manipulates her mother into throwing uh, Maomao into the Taibone, into a situation where Maomao is perfectly fine. Like this isn't even gonna like be traumatic for her. It's like, oh yay, a snack. Um, but she's like, well, time to like start doing stuff, and like she starts taking action. And I feel like a big part of that is because she can see like the downfall of her family. There's no protecting them from here on. She's like, well, I can't support what they're doing, I guess. I'm going to go my own path. And we don't really see exactly what that path is. We just see that she's starting to move, starting to do follow her own path in this case. But like she's letting a bunch of the men escape with funds to restart their lives. She's setting fire to the storeroom and destroying a lot of this gunpowder that they were stockpiling for a war. And then she's providing the Kool-Aid to the kids as a mercy killing. Like, she's obviously got something in mind. And I feel like she's, especially in this episode, because we've seen Shenmei do a lot of stuff, but like Lady Shenmei's completely, if it's not her rage, it's all about her like desire to be immortal. Like there's not much to her character other than that.
Mm-hmm.
And we've seen up to this point, like, yeah, she's running things, but she's kind of running things into the ground.
Absolutely, yeah. Lady Shemei's definitely not the brains of the operation at all. She's the person who seems to be trying to benefit off of this, which leads me to wonder, like, where's Lord Shiso in all of this, and
Right.
who really has been the brains behind this? Because this is such an intricate plot to bring about a rebellion that was done in many ways in plain sight, but hidden so fantastically that, yeah, it's impressive. It is very impressive how this plot has unfolded. But I do want to quickly point out something, that as brilliant as this plot is, like, because it truly is. It's been built up so well. There's an army. They are well fortified. They've got gunpowder. They've got guns. They've got the newest model of guns from the West. You can tell in this episode that Shisui was right to believe that they were doomed, because the moment that she throws the torch in to blow up the gunpowder, that scene shows that their rebellion was truly doomed. It is doomed because they are being attacked in the winter. They are not ready. They were meant to have plenty of time to fully refine this gunpowder, to equip an entire army that should be ready by the spring or the summer at latest. This gunpowder still wet because it takes multiple explosions and it doesn't even blow up the entire shop. And so with the punitive army coming, the forbidden army coming, it's too late. It's too late. The rebellion can put up a defense, but they're screwed.
Well, and I'm starting to think that, like, a lot of this is happening a lot earlier than they originally planned. Partially because they got, like, the emperor and like the folks back in the imperial capital, they got tipped off sooner than they realized, and part of that's their own fault for not realizing that Lacan was on their scent. But part of it was like having to kidnap Maomao and run, because like their employee inside the Rear Palace was found out, and that led to an investigation that then led to like finding out about the rebellion in the first place. And so like you see this domino effect falling like towards, oh crap, yeah, we're screwed. But like when you look at it originally, like, oh, they're setting up for a rebellion, you don't see that. We don't really see that until we realize they don't have their stuff put together well enough yet for this project.
And this takes you saying that, this brings us back to when Lacan is having his conversation with Lord Shiso. It makes it even more brilliant, because again, he's calling Lord Shiso out. And now that we see the greater picture, and we know how well Lacan has been prepared for this, how forward thinking he's been, this is basically him being all like, don't do it. I see what you're doing. Don't do it.
Oh man, that was such a brilliant scene.
Oh my gosh, yeah, from the gun to the game, then to the wine, like, or to the juice, because Lacan's a lightweight. But yeah, see, the gun was basically like, fess up. You're not gonna fess up? Look at this amazing game I played with my wife. Oh, she's so brilliant. Look how I was surrounded.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man. Well, and I feel like there's another character we really have to talk about because like Maomao's very much on the back foot. She's having to react to a lot of what's going on. But like at this point, it's really not like Maomao's been kidnapped. She's thrown into the middle of this, but it's not her story we're focusing on. And a lot of sense, like in this episode specifically, we're focusing more on Shisui than anything. But we also have to look at Kyo because Kyo such a heartbreaking character arc. And he's just a kid. But like we're getting this heart-wrenching character arc out of him. Cuz like he shows up a couple episodes back and just this really bratty kid, like really annoying, and you're like, yeah, he's amusing but like annoying at the same time. But then you find out like what's going on with his mom, his desire to like have his wish granted, and really just wants to see his mom again, and then gets dragged to the stronghold along with Maomao and hoping to see his mom. That doesn't work out. Tries to save Maomao because he's just a good kid. Basically gets punished for it, and Maomao sticks her neck out for him. And then very end of the episode, like he's fully like you get that little tiny flashback, he's fully aware of what he's drinking. He's not as dumb as like he leads you to believe, and he drinks the Kool-Aid anyway. Such a heart-wrenching character arc.
It is, and I mean, like, I knew I was getting set up for this. I knew I was getting set up to love this kid, and I was like, he's doomed. He's doomed. I just didn't know how he was doomed, precisely, like how his end would come about. And that's the beauty of some of the character writing in the Apothecary Diaries. We haven't spent much time with Kyo, but you come to love this little kid, and the way that he goes out is so heartbreaking, and at the same time, more so than almost any other character in the Apothecary Diaries, Kyo remains true to himself. There's not many other characters that you can really say that for throughout this series. Like Maomao's very much herself throughout this story. Shinji is someone who has to learn to figure out who he is. We've seen with a lot of the the concubines and consorts what they do, what lengths they go through, their various struggles. And this episode reminded me of going way back into episode 1. Princess Fuyo is still the one character who gets the happiest ending so far out of everyone, because she actually gets to escape the rear palace with the man that she loves, and she's tricked everyone other than Maomao into believing that she's insane, so that way she could pull this off. Like, that is absolutely brilliant. Kyo is someone who should have had the Princess Fuyo ending, because he hasn't done. I mean, he's a little brat. He's done mischief, but in the grand scheme of things, he's done nothing wrong. He's a largely innocent boy with beautiful dreams about family and country and finding happiness, bringing happiness to other people. This is the way he goes out, and he knows he's going to die, so he greets death with a smile on his face.
Right.
It's beautiful and heart-wrenching, and he's it makes me again think of Princess Fuyo, because he should have had a happy ending. And he doesn't get it.
Yeah, very much so. And then there's one other part of the episode I feel like we really need to touch on for a little bit, because we have this full-on flashback and like conversation between Maomao and Shisui before like we get to the room with the kids. But we learned some very interesting information concerning Suide.
Are you talking about the knowledge about who is actually the Emperor's child? Oh yeah. Oh, okay. That's a lot to unpackage.
There's a lot to unpackage.
There's so much to unpackage right here, because that could indicate that as far, like, yes, the male line is where the inheritance is going to go through for the throne, But for crying out loud, Lord Shiso has had in his possession a daughter who through her the royal line could continue. You
Correct.
don't need
Yep.
Loulan. You don't need Shisui. Suede was always it.
But it's because, and I feel like a lot of this is because Lady Shenmei was so like abusive and like trying to control Suide that like they could have done something there and they didn't. It's this really interesting little segment, and it passes by really quickly, but it also answers some questions we had going on, especially with like why Suide was there, like what was going on with the older lady who was doing the ghost stories, etc., etc. Like it's all been building up to here, like it's all connected to that.
Yeah, I was surprised how well that was connected, and also like how Suide's like Shisui's like well, she's even a ghost tried to kill me because of my family connections. So like, ooh. But so real quick right here, this might be a slight deviation, but you had said episodes ago, so back during the next plot to kill Jinji during the hunting, during the hunting party, you said that you were certain that you knew who was actually meant to be sent in to Jinji if Maomao hadn't been there. Like, get them all hyped up on that turtle meat. Were you thinking that was supposed to be Suide?
I think I was. I'm not entirely sure though. Yeah, there's a good chance it was Suide.
Because I mean,
it couldn't have been Loulan. Loulan was still in the rear palace at that point. And so, yeah, it probably should have been Suide, which is another, like, ploy by the Shi clan, like, to get power. And, like, the fact that they're double dipping, they're, like, throwing so many different plans against the wall and hoping something sticks. Like, there's a desperation here.
It's a fascinating one because like at first it seemed as though Lord Shiso was just like, haha, I have all of these options. I'm just gonna put so many options into play, and then surely one will work. But as you said, it's more like desperation. And by this episode, it becomes a bit more clear that this rebellion is desperation. What exactly is driving it? I don't know. Is it just simply a grab for power? Is there something else that we don't understand? Yeah. But I get what you mean by that desperation.
But they're on this road already. Like there's no point. Like the fact that they've like started this is like we have to see this through, or we're gonna die. And in this case, only the dead can be forgiven. So.
Oh, such a heavy episode, but so good at the same time. So real quick to have a slightly lighter note. Let's go back to Maomao and the Thai bone. So a couple of things with that scene that I think are really good. Number one, I truly believe that Shisui gave Maomao her hairpiece, not just simply to kind of be all like this is like me trying to protect you kind of a thing, like I've got a claim on you as well, but also very much like at some point in time you're going to need a weapon. For some reason, my guards don't believe that hairpins are weapons, so here you go. Here's an extra one. And like I think that's just another reason why she's like, yeah, throw it to the Thai bones. Like she's got weapons, and it's Maomao. She will make do. And the moment that Maomao sees this, she's like, oh yes. And there's something to that particular trap. If you read the book Beyonders, there's that the Thai bone, at least a variation of it, is utilized at the end of the book. And the danger truly is the snakes. The thing is that all of those other creepy crawlies that are venomous, yeah, sure, you don't want to get touched or bitten by them because that could be really bad for you. And the thing is that it's going to lead to someone either screaming or stomping, either of which is going to aggravate those venomous snakes, and then the snakes come out, and that's the real danger because are usually left without anything to fight against a snake. But again, it's Maomao. Maomao's just like, do you know how many times we've already seen Maomao raise a snake to her arm and have it bite her to test out its poison? This girl will be all like, even if they get a bite or two in on me, I get to bite them back.
Well, but I think the weapon point is perfect because, like, yeah, it's a bunch of venomous snakes, poisonous bugs, and whatnot. She's basically just like covering those hairpins in poison at this point. So she's got a tool to protect herself going forward.
Yep. Say they put in Maomao to torture, and Maomao just came out all the stronger.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so I love that scene so much. It's just like Mama's like, "Ooh, yay, dinner!" Like it's so perfect. It's so perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, I love this show. I love this whole story so freaking much.
Oh, it's so good. It's a great scene to show just how much of a menace Maomao truly is. Like
Yes.
she's not just a menace because she's so brilliant and because she somehow always foils our plans. Darn you, you little rotten apothecary. No, she's a menace because this is Maomao. Like we got to see Maomao in her element, like
hmm
poison, critters,
I
food.
I really love how we've got this main character who's not. It's she's really good with her specialty. She's very talented in what she does. But she's not this anime main character who's like always getting into fights, that's always having to like physically fight people. Because I feel like almost every other show, other than like your random rom-com, basically is gonna focus more on the like the fights and the action. Even Freren focuses a lot on that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Freren does a fantastic job out of it. I'm not judging Freren in that regard. I just like having a main character that's not all about the fights.
Yeah.
I think that's my point. It's part of the reason I really love. There's an anime called Blood Blockade Battlefield, which there's a ton of fights in that one. But the main character, like with his like superpower and like specialization, whatnot, not a combatant, but still very important to everything that's happening. And I love that Mao Mao's stuck in the middle of this, not a combatant, very important to everything that's happening.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Ah, so good. So excited for the next episode, but we've got to wait a
Mm-hmm.
week. We got to wait a week. So I guess there actually is an announcement right here at the very end. In lieu of us reviewing the Apothecary Diaries next week, I will have, in preparation for the next season of Don to Don, I've got a special battle analysis that I'm going to
Nice.
do for what I think is one of the best fights in Don to Don, not just in the anime, but like across the entire story.
Right. Well, and another thing I think we should announce is upcoming next week. We're gonna be with the whole harem for our writers retreat, making content and preparing that stuff for YouTube, including a really exciting live stream, I believe, and another writers roulette. So y'all have that to look forward to as well.
Oh yeah, this is gonna be fun.
It's gonna be a lot of fun. I just hope I don't have a funeral in the middle of it, but that hasn't been determined yet.
We shall find out. I'm just happy I've got Wednesday off, so that way I can be there around the same time that everyone else is. Woohoo!
Nice.
All right. Well, that will do it then for this video for our review and analysis. We'd love to hear your comments and your thoughts down below. Sound off on what you thought of this episode, your insights. Do you agree with us? Do you don't agree with us? We want to hear from you. And if you'd like to support the work that we do here, then please make sure that you are subscribed if you haven't already done so, and check out the books that we published. Links for them are in the description below. Otherwise, thank you so much for joining us on this incredible adventure that we call writing. And until the next video, y'all, choose.
Remember, the dead are the only ones forgiven. Okini.